Welcome back to the Birdhouse Dynasty Trade Show. We've got a couple of nice trades for you today with our special guest, Matt English. How are we doing today, Matt?
Doing good, man. This is my favorite time of year. Super Bowl's over. I think 99% of the football community is happy with what happened in the Super Bowl. And with that, we enter our favorite part of the year in the offseason, where we start diving into not just some trades, but we start looking at the value of all of our rookie picks, who's coming out, all this stuff right before the NFL Combine. And then, of course, at that point, we have to reevaluate, right? So this is the fun time for us Dynasty guys.
Yes, this is the nerd time where we get to try and split up our tiers and figure out which quarterbacks are better than the others, who are the elite ones, who are on the
bigger
fringes.
Than yours.
Let's get right into one trade for the folks out there. We'll start off with one involving two middling quarterbacks, right? We've got Dak Prescott on one side and Bryce Young on the other in this deal here. This is my Birdhouse number 2 league. So it's a 12-team best ball. We start 12 each week. And on one side, we've got Boss getting Bryce Young, Darnell Mooney, and a 27 first. On the other side, Let's Go Brandon's getting Dak Prescott and George Pickens, the much maligned George Pickens, recently sort of falling out of favor in Pittsburgh, as well as with our dynasty owners here. We've seen his value drop a little, but the talent is still there. So very volatile asset in George Pickens. Which side of this do you lean, Matt?
Yeah. So this is a trade you and I have discussed. Kind of, well, whatever. I'm going to be on the Boss side of this trade. I like the Darnell Mooney, Bryce Young, and 27 first on this deal. Dak Prescott has been banged up over the last couple of years. He's going to have a new head coach. I'm not high on Dak. I'm just not high on Dak. And also I'm not high on Pickens. Pickens, like you mentioned, had some controversy towards the end of the season with some of the attitude stuff, the work ethic, in-game type things. Whereas you start looking at Boss's side and Darnell Mooney, who was pretty much what you could call hand-selected by the Falcons from Chicago, right? They wanted Darnell Mooney. Bryce Young came on late in the year, and you get a 27 first. I'm going to take where I have more positive feeling, less doubt in the Darnell Mooney and the Bryce Young. I'm much more on the Bryce Young train than I am the Dak Prescott.
All right. Well, I like the other side. I like Let's Go Brandon, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I understand the argument for Darnell Mooney being a good citizen and everything, as opposed to George Pickens, who definitely likes to ruffle the feathers here and there. And then Bryce Young coming on late in the second half last year, definitely had a very solid and promising second half to look forward to the 2025 season. And then on the other side, you've got Dak Prescott, who got injured, and then George Pickens, who's just, an asshole. So what do you got here? You're buying low on the Dak side and George Pickens, really, here is what I see, because Pickens has, while it being best ball and the possibility for Mooney to equal or outproduce Pickens in a few weeks, Pickens has the ability to explode for those 3 or 4 games And what did you call them? Boombastic weeks? Yes. Those are the kind of games that George Pickens can have. Now, we don't even know who his quarterback's going to be next year, and it might not even be in Pittsburgh for all we know, right? I mean, we'll be doing a mock draft later, and we see all sorts of. I've seen Igbokwe going to Pittsburgh in the first round. I've seen I've seen Luther Burden going there. So I think that there's the definite feeling that Pickens might get shipped out of town, right? But his talent's still going to leave with him no matter where he goes. All right. As will the attitude. But I get it. As a diva wide receiver, you got to have a little chip on your shoulder. Now, is he on that elite level? No. Right. So that's where I think people's issues come in with him. They're like, look, this dude's had a few good games. He's made some amazing catches here and there. But it's sort of like, I don't know, like DK Metcalf light, right? DK plays with a little chip on his shoulder. He shoves people around for no reason sometimes and gets into trouble on the field. But Pickens just, Pickens seems like an absolute knucklehead. And like somebody that the team itself would suspend because of the shenanigans he does. And so that could be the bad part of this deal. I have the feeling that Bryce Young is somebody who Let's Go Brandon had probably I didn't look, but I think he drafted him in the startup, right? And he probably had 3 or 4 quarterbacks, and he was just trying to unload Bryce Young. And finally, Bryce Young started playing well, and now this is his opportunity to get out and move up to Dak. Now, Dak is in that middling tier around Brock Purdy-ish down to, not Kirk Cousins anymore, but down to the, Tua range, right? Like that range of quarterbacks, especially in best ball. Yeah, Brock Purdy all the way down to Tua. There's a clump of like 10 of them.
Yeah, there's like a value bin at quarterback. Yeah,
absolutely. And Dak's near the top of that value bin, whereas Bryce is near the bottom. And that's really because of CeeDee Lamb.
Is Bryce still at the bottom? I mean, look, I hear your argument. I totally do. But here's the thing. Bryce Young's going to go into year 2 with the same head coach, same offensive coordinator, same backup quarterback. Okay?
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney going into year 2, same head coach, same offensive coordinator. And we got a 2-3 game preview of what his new quarterback's going to look like. They're going to be a pass-happy offense I should say pass happy. They're going to be a balanced attack because they have Bijan Robinson. But when I say pass happy, when they sling it, it's going to be tough to stop because they got Drake London. They also got Kyle Pitts currently, and then Darnell Mooney, right? Yeah, and then you look at that 27 first. I understand what he's doing. The 27 first or the 27 draft class is looking pretty decent right now because it's going to be headlined by Jeremiah Smith, potentially Arch Manning if he doesn't come out next year.
Yeah,
if Arch stays, and you have Jeremiah Smith, he's stacking up on first rounders for that 27. I like Bryce Young over Dak in a dynasty scenario. This is best ball too. Keep in mind, it's best ball. Darnell Mooney he hits big, right? Bryce Young, second year with Dave Canales, same offense. It's a good deal. It's a good deal for Foss in this one. The more you break it down, the more you look long-term. I like the Foss side of this one. There's no way that you could sway me differently. I like Dak maybe on a 1-2 year arch, but that's it. And then George Pickens, dude, I don't think he's going to be in the league in like 4 years.
Fair enough.
I think the attitude, I'm not going to play 100% if I'm not getting the ball. I think that kind of stuff, we've seen that played out with like, let's just say, and someone who played for Pittsburgh, Antonio Brown, right? If I'm not getting the ball, I'm upset. Antonio Brown is like 100 times the receiver. George Pickens is with ability and skill. And Yeah, I just don't think he's in no shape whatsoever to be acting in the manner that he is. And for that reason, I'll take Darnell Mooney over George Pickens all day. In a best ball format, I'm taking Darnell Mooney over Pickens all day. This is a great deal for Foss Boss in my book, right? So, I mean, you give me the scenario behind it all. I'm still behind Foss Boss on this one. I'd rather be in his seat than the other on this one.
Fair enough. I do agree that this deal is sort of a win-win. I just see it that I have Dak on a lot of leagues, and he's done very well for me. So I know what I'm getting with Dak. With Bryce Young, there's still that uncertainty there. Now, the draft comes and Tet McMillan falls into Bryce Young's lap at pick number 8 there, then, things could be looking a little.
I just falling 8. Come on.
I just don't love, even if they draft another receiver in the first round. The problem with their receiving core is they're putting it on Xavier Legette, who's not an alpha. They've got old man Thielen still there, I think. I don't know.
No,
he's got one more year there yet. And it's just Jalen Coker is, I don't know what to think of with Jalen Coker.
In the 2025 draft? What pick? What pick
do the Panthers have pick number 8?
No, they've got pick number 8.
Yes.
Oh, how about that?
So,
and they've already got Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, and Jatavian Sanders from last year's draft to give to Bryce Young, who he's got playing experience with, all of which flashed the potential, right? Man, I'm taking Bryce Young. You can't look. There's nothing you can say or do that's going to convince me otherwise. I feel like my argument has to sway you to some degree, but there's nothing you can tell me about Dak and George that gets me off of mine. There's no way.
No. Here's the thing. The deal is a good deal for Foss Boss.
It's a great deal.
It's a good deal for Foss Boss.
It's a great deal.
Yes. I'm just looking at it from a contender perspective. I want Let's Go Brandon's side. But for Foss Boss, he's getting I like the value. I think he's getting more value.
See, what's crazy is I think even from a contender view, I would want Foss Boss side of the deal. Even from a contender's point of view, because I think Bryce Young's going to outproduce Dak Prescott next year, and Darnell Mooney's going to give you the spike weeks that are going to drag Pickens through the dirt, right? And you get a 27 first in the Jeremiah Smith sweepstakes. I mean, come on. Okay.
Here's the thing.
At least see my lure. I see nothing on your side, by the way. So if you agree with me to some extent, like I see the lure, I win. So give me the win. Give me the win, baby.
See, with George Pickens, again, as much of a jerk as he still is young enough and has the talent enough to that if he produces in weeks 1 and 2 of the next season, you can turn around and flip him. You can add a first to Pickens and get up a tier, right? You're not doing that with Darnell Mooney. You're not giving me Darnell Mooney in a first and getting up to Marvin Harrison, right? George Pickens, you can do that.
No, you cannot. No, you cannot. No way, Chris. Come on. No way.
Maybe not Marv.
Give me a future first and George Pickens to get Marv. Come on. When Darnell Mooney in a future first. Come on.
I'm just saying the volatility of Pickens can be good and bad at the same time.
Same with Mooney, though. That's a wash.
There's no volatility with Mooney. We know what you got.
There's volatility in production. He's a spike week guy, but this is a best ball trade.
Right. Exactly. Who's to say Atlanta doesn't draft a receiver?
Take our preferences on Mooney and Pickens out. Just take those two out of the deal, right? Take them out of the deal. You got Prescott for Bryce and a 27 first. Come on, dude.
Well, I don't think Pickens and Mooney is even straight up. Like, you'd have to give me. If I had Pickens, I'm not trading them straight up for Mooney.
I picture them pretty damn close to level playing field. Look at production and then look at all the intangibles. Mooney was acquired by Atlanta, handpicked. Pickens was drafted, and now they regret it. Come on, man. I'd give you my best bite. Come on, man.
All right. Should we look at a couple other deals that involve Dak or
neither one of us are going to yield on this one? So yeah, let's take a look at the next.
Oh, the next deal or deals involving Dak or Bryce Young? Because I can bring them up on Dynasty Daddy here.
Deal. Let's take a look at
the next deal first.
Picks. We got some like the 102 on the trade block.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Here's that one.
So our next deal here, this one's got some juicier pieces than that. So right here we've got for the Brandon here getting Foss-Boss's 102 and 26 first, and in return gives up Devon Achane, Jalen McMillan, and his 27 first. So Foss-Boss getting a little loosey-goosey here, doing back-to-back deals.
So it is the same league.
And this is the same league, yes. So here he had the 102. 102 and Achane, to me, if we're going to play the cross-out game, 102 and Achane are pretty close. You could cross those out. So then you're left with the 26 first and 27 firsts along with Jalen McMillan. And so the little context to this, Foss-Boss finished last in this league this year, while For the Brand took second place. So if you're going to use that in here, the 26 first, which is Foss-Boss's, could be early to mid, we'll say, while Brandon's 27 first would be more mid to late. Even though it's 27, I know that's 2 years out. It's hard to say where that pick will end up. But still, you have to take the 26 first into consideration that the dude had the 101 the previous year, at least, and you have a good feeling about it being at least early to mid, right? So that's where on this side of the deal, I want the picks. So, Matt, what do you think?
Man, I'm with you on this. I want the picks. And it's very easy to me because I look at that 102 for this year, and I don't see the value in this. I don't like this deal at all for Foss-Boss. It's a bad deal. Yeah, I know he gets Achane, he gets McMillan, and he gets a 27 first. Being that it's the same league, that's going to give him 3 picks in the 27 draft in that first round, which is real nice. But I look at the last trade, I look at this trade, and they're kind of conflicting trades to me.
Right.
The first trade looks like a trade of somebody who's like, hey, I'm preparing for the future, but I'm moving forward to compete this year. And then I look at this deal and I'm like, hey, I really don't care about this year. I'm planning for 27 because I just look, Devon Achane, we know that dude is injury prone. He's a smaller build. He's a guy that can get hurt on any play. Whereas when he is healthy, he produces unbelievably. Even in a down year for Miami, he still produced at a high level. Jalen McMillan showed that he was worth every bit of capital that Tampa put in on him. He also showed the fact that, he was injured 2 years ago, and that's why Jalen Pope showed up. but he was Roma Dunze before Roma Dunze, right? So
Right.
they're good guys to have, and he's getting a 27 first, but he's giving up the 102.
Yeah.
The 102. Let's assume Ashton Genty goes 1 in this league, because if you don't take Genty 1, it's a bad move. Even if you don't need running backs, I don't give a shit. You're taking Ashton Genty because of the value, right?
Yeah.
So in 102, there's so many arguments made of so many players you could take. So why not deal that 102 on draft day, where people will just cough up a lung trying to get that pick? I think you got a lot of value in it. Look, that 25 102, I see that you're pretty much. I look at the 27 first and the 26 first. 2 years out, 1 year out, whatever. That's a wash. Whatever. Those are pretty close together. But then you're giving up the 102 for A-Chain and McMillan. On paper, it looks like a great deal. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I don't think in regards to Fossbus or anybody in general, the 102, this is the way I want to be splitting it up. I want to trade it right now.
I wanted to say this real quick, Chris.
Yeah.
I know what this trade looked like originally, and this is better than what it looked like originally.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I like this deal better than what it was set up prior to this. That was accepted. I know it was not accepted.
You said it was McCaffrey, right? And McCaffrey instead of
A-Chain, same deal.
Yeah, that's even worse.
And so this is definitely an improvement. I do want to mention that. It is an improvement. Mm-hmm. I still would rather hold that 102.
Yeah.
That's my spot. Now, go ahead. Sorry. I just wanted to put that out there before you got too far into it.
Right. We don't want to throw Fossbus too far under the bus here. But the 102, and for all of you out there owning the 102, here's my thoughts on if you want to, for whatever reason, feel the need to have to deal it right now, because like Matt said, the 102 probably will have its most value on draft day or when it's on the clock, right? And then you get somebody who just has an itch to get the guy they want, because right now, yes, the 101's Genty, but the 102 through, I don't know, 107, 108, 109, they're all kind of, there's a big argument right now as to who's that going to be. I mean, right now, I think we're both in agreement it's probably Tet. But what if Tet, I don't know, falls to like 17 and goes to the Bengals? I don't know. I mean, I think he should go. I think he should be a top 5 player taken in this draft. But I don't know what the fit is, right? Like I saw one mock that had Tampa taking Tet McMillan, right? That is just asinine. Why would we want 2 Mike Evans on the, you have to, the point is you have to have, they're not just wide receivers, they're X's and Y's and Z type wide receivers. You can't have
context to that thought.
Right. So that's where I'm getting at. Like, Egbuka or Luther Burden could go in the top 10 and have a great landing spot. And then all of a sudden, maybe they're like, what if Egbuka ends up going to New England and he's got Drake May and he's their savior at wide receiver? Or what if Tyler Warren goes number 4 to New England and now he's going to be the actual main guy and he's the number 1 tight end right now? Like, I don't know if you saw the dude's stats at Penn State, but pretty amazing. Like, if I gave you those numbers, you those numbers and said, hey, this is a Big Ten wide receiver, you'd want to know who that was, right?
Yeah.
Like, you'd think that wide receiver was amazing. This was a tight end that put up 104 catches.
That's right.
Over 1,200 yards and 200 yards on the ground. So there's a lot of arguments. And then you got the quarterback argument too. You got Shedeur, Cam Ward, and even Jackson Dart you can kind of throw in the mix too. Now, we don't know which one of those 3 is going to be the first quarterback off the board right now. And
I do.
Any of those quarterbacks could be the 102 in our rookie drafts.
I do.
So So my point being, if you're going to trade the 102 right now, I want to split it, but I want to get a pick somewhere between 103 to 107 plus a future first, or I want to get 2 picks in the first round for the 102. I don't want to trade it for Devon Achane, who, like you said, he's a smaller guy. Like, yeah, maybe he stayed healthy most of this year, and yeah, he can catch the ball like crazy, but yeah, Jalen Wright's there. And who's to say they don't draft a running back, right? That steals all of his goal line work. Why don't they draft Travion Henderson? I mean, they drafted Jalen Wright the year after they hit on Devon Achane, and Mostert's going out of town. So they want to have 3 good running backs in Miami. And that's totally they're all about having a good offense. I mean, their offense died last year. Mm-hmm. They averaged 3, what was it? Well over, I think it was over 3.4 touchdowns a game in 2023. They dropped over a full touchdown per game this last year.
Yeah, they did.
So I guarantee
a lot of that was Tua driven, but
yeah, absolutely. But
out with concussions.
Tyreek didn't look great even when Tua got healthy.
Tyreek gave up on the season.
Exactly.
I believe. And that's why I think no matter what his apology is, he'll be traded.
Absolutely. I agree. I think he will be
June
1st too.
June 1st cut. I'd rather trade him, but
sure. So the point being is I just really would have liked to see Fossbus do something else differently with the 102. Yeah. And that's all. Because Achane, I love. I've got Achane on a few teams, and I love having him. But, you're getting an influx here of Genty plus at least 4 other really good running backs here, and they're going to push Achane's value down. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it works.
I feel like the brand was going here. Like, they're comfortable giving up whatever. But, like, it was like Foss wanted McMillan in that 27 first. That's what he wanted. But in order to do that, he knew he had to come off the 102 to do it.
Yeah.
And whereas I love the 27 class because of what we know is coming, it's just I don't jump that overboard into it. Like, I love the 27 class, and where the deals make sense, you got to take it. I get it. But this is one where I felt like you could hold the 102 and get a better deal in a month, 2 months from now. It's just once you get, but I will say this too, once you get trigger happy, you execute a trade that it goes in your favor, right? And like the last trade that we just talked about.
Yeah.
I think we can both see Foss's side of that one as a win, right? But then we look at this trade and we're both like, this one kind of contradicts the last one.
Yes.
So it just doesn't match. And I feel like it's a trade just to make a trade.
Yes.
Because there's a player and a pick that's on the that's available. So I'm going to make a deal to get it.
Yeah.
And whereas it's a better deal than what was originally proposed, it's still not a deal that I think is worth taking for the 102 at this time. You're going to look, I got the 102. You can pull it up in two leagues. Let's pull up TBLBR. Let's pull up that league. I have the 102 in that league. And again, I don't know what the setup is in this league and this, that, and the other, but I do know all of this.
It's the same as our other Birdhouse league.
Okay. The TBLBR league, right? Super flex, no kickers, all that kind of stuff. I have the 102 there. Last year I had the 2 and the 3. This is a total rebuild, so to speak. But I feel I'm pretty young and strong at receiver. in this league.
We've got
Right.
Neighbors, Flowers.
Now, Tank Dell getting hurt really hurt that, but I still got tons of other players here. Right?
Yeah.
It's a young team.
McCarthy, Tank. Definitely a young team.
Definitely a young team.
And not a team that I'd want to gamble. This is the real point of it. Not a team that I'd want to be gambling away my 26 first on.
Oh, which I did. I did. I totally did. You can scroll down and take a look at all the draft picks that are available. That being said, I got plenty of picks here, right? I've got the 102, the 112 for this year. And then if you look at I got tons of thirds, not a second round, but I got 3 thirds, 2 fourths. And then next year I do have a first, not my own, but I have someone else's first. I got a couple 2, 3 seconds. A third and a fourth, and then 27, whatever. That's fine. I have 2 picks in the first round here at the 102 and the 112. I am just going to go ahead and assume Genty's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do I do here at the 102, Chris? Right? I got Flowers. Dell's hurt. He ain't playing next year. I'm going to assume Dell's done next year. But I have Neighbors.
Right.
I do have Jalen Coker, who I really like. I got a lot of young players here. Roman Wilson, Malachi Corley, Jacob Cowling. I traded away Wicks. Whatever. I got guys. So
yeah, this is one where I would be trying to split that 102.
Do what?
I would be trying to split that 102 into multiple other picks in the first.
There he is. There he is. I had the 102, but I actually want 2 picks here in these first 7 picks. I actually want 2. Yeah. I don't want 1. If I don't get Ted, that's fine. But if I could get Mbuka and Caleb Johnson, that's fantastic.
Right.
Because that's actually what I need. I need 2 picks out of this, which you can demand with the 102, especially after Genty's gone. No one's getting Genty. No, if you're not the 101, you're not getting Genty. That's not on the table. Let's just assume that because it's a value play. So if I'm sitting there with the 102, how can I maximize that? I want 2 first this year, and I want them both inside the top 10. I think that's more than fair. Because whoever's moving into the 102 has 2 first rounders. Obviously, they know something they need. And you don't stack up first rounders that are mid to late first rounders unless you plan on moving up. I don't see the point.
Yeah. Now we can look at Dynasty Daddy here and bring up a few other picks, trades. Other trades involving the 102 just to get an idea of what's actually going on here. So here's some deals involving the 102. Top, let's see. I saw one that I really wanted to touch on here. I don't really like that top left one.
That's horrible. Saquon for the 102, one below it. That's an interesting topic.
Yeah, that's a whole topic in and of itself there. And then you've got the 102 and a third for Ladd. Again, something I don't know that I'd be doing. That seems a little steep for Ladd. 105, 106 for Ladd, I can understand.
He's giving up 2 picks. 2 picks.
Here's the deal we're talking about right there. 102 and a 26 first for McMillan, Achane, and a 27 for it. Just looking at it amongst these other trades here, it just looks light.
Top 8 plays there. That's nice.
See, here you go. Right below that one.
God.
CeeDee Lamb for Bryce Young, 102 and 302. Now that I can understand going after there, you're getting a primo, whether you like it or not. The point is that you're getting the premium asset in CeeDee Lamb. Okay, that's what you got to pay for a premium asset.
2 quarterbacks, 12 teams, start 10, full PPR. Bryce Young, the 102, the 302, and 25 for CeeDee Lamb. I want to be on the Bryce Young deal. I want to be on that side of the deal all day. I will give up CeeDee Lamb for Bryce Young, the 102 and the 302 this year. All day. I don't even have to think. I will smash trade. Except on that immediately. Immediately.
Well, here's the thing though. What if that 102 isn't your own? All right. Let's say you got it in a trade 2 years ago, and now all you need is that wide receiver. You're just going to bet on. And what if Bryce Young's your 4th quarterback? Okay. So that's my point. That's what can get you to an elite, one of the top 5 wide receivers. I would do that.
All right. So here's my thought. Number 1, if Bryce Young's going to be my 4th quarterback, I'm probably not doing the deal to begin with. But even let's say he is my 4th quarterback, giving up CeeDee Lamb for the 102 with a new head coach in Dallas, and
it's the same system though, man.
BS injuries going into the offseason. I'm not high on CD. I'm not high on anything Dallas until they draft Genty. Okay? Just be honest with you. Until they draft Genty, I'm not high on Dallas anything unless it's super value. Okay? Bryce Young, I look at as a premium piece that you can get so discounted right now. Look at the way he finished this season. He's going into year 2 with the same head coach, same offensive staff, adding 2 weapons potentially. I like Bryce Young. I do. And the fact that you're getting the 102. Oh, get out of here. Get out of here. I'm taking Bryce Young, the 102, the 302, and giving up CeeDee Lamb without thinking about it.
All right, we get it. You dislike Dallas. I get it.
No, it's not Dallas. It's really not Dallas. It's the fact that the 102, in my opinion, is that valuable. It's that valuable.
Yeah. Right.
And I
see that.
Maybe you're not making that deal right now, but in let's just say 6 to 7 weeks, what is that 102 worth? We're not even through the combine yet, but if you just give it 6 to 7 weeks, what is that 102 worth? More. That's the one thing that picks have over players.
Yes.
That the closer we get to actually expiring those picks, they become more valuable because there's this one little thing that we can't put a price tag on, and that's smashing that draft button. When someone gets to smash that draft button, there is a value in that people don't bring into it. So when you're trading draft picks, there's the built-in I'm going to smash it value. There's also the accumulating value of what could be leading up to the draft. So I love having the picks here. If you're going to pull this deal early, I love being on the deal, the side of Bryce Young, the 102 and 302, because I know I can deal those in 6 to 7 weeks at a much higher value.
See, I wish we had the context of the rosters on this here, because I think it could play into it. Let's look at the trade to the right, which somewhat entails what we were talking about with doing with the 102, where this guy got the 107 and 110.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris Godwin thrown in, but he had to give up. I don't like that he had to give up the 26 first and second on top there. I don't like that part of it. But this one kind of
would have been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2-year window would have been okay because, man, there's a strong chance Derek Carr and Chris Godwin could be on the same team next year.
Oh, please. He's not going to New Orleans.
Who said Derek Carr was going to be in New Orleans?
Oh, Derek Carr is going to be our backup in Tampa?
No.
All right. How about this one? Here's one that I like. For the 102, this guy got the 107, 110, and Calvin Ridley. I don't mind doing that. Calvin Ridley is kind of meh, but he's still a body. It doesn't say whether these are, it says start 10. It doesn't, I don't know if it would actually say best ball or not, but we'll assume it's a lineup start 10.
This is one that I would entertain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
This is one, right? You're getting a pick inside that top 9, 8, we'll say, outside of Genty. Well, just say Genty takes 1, okay? And now we're looking 2 through 9 or 2 through 10 for your top 9, right?
Yeah.
So for your top 7, you're getting one of the top 4 running backs, maybe a top receiver, absolutely having your pick at quarterback. That's and you get the 110 and you get Calvin Ridley. And this is this is much more fair compensation for the 102. Absolutely.
I agree. That's the idea.
Where you still get to dip that top tier talent and you're getting a veteran asset on top, wherever he may be.
Here's another great one I like. The 102 for 103 and Tajay Spears. You're just
Ooh.
I mean the 102 and 103 I don't think are going to be, I think the worst case, I think you're going to see like 102 through 104 be in the same tier. I don't think the 102 is going to stand alone in its own tier, put it that way. So the 103, you're getting Tajay Spears thrown on top of it. Right now, I don't know that that's a deal you had to do right now, so to speak, but I don't mind doing that one.
I would do that deal right now. I love that deal. Move back one spot, and you're giving me Tajay Spears. I will take that deal all day long. Hold on, is that a best ball? 2 quarterbacks.
No, it doesn't say it. It just says start 9.
If that's best ball, I love that deal. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way I like to see it broken down here. Let's see if there's another one here. Here's another one for Achane and a 304. So everybody's thinking Achane and the 102 is about pretty much even.
Yeah, I don't like that deal. But the one right next to it, Joe Burrow and the 102 for Jalen Hurts, Breece Hall in the 203.
That's
interesting.
Like
that is legit trade. Oh, my.
Yeah.
That is sexy.
Yeah, Hurts and Burrow, you can pretty much equal out. And then you got the 102 for Breece Hall and the 203. That's enticing.
Man, that's solid.
Yeah,
that's a solid deal.
Yeah, I like that one.
I think I could take either side of the deal and be happy.
As much as people detract for what Breece Hall did last year, I'm still aboard with Breece. The talent's still there. The offense just didn't perform as a whole. You know, the whole narrative with Rodgers, it obviously didn't work. Like, they didn't make the playoffs. They just shit the bed, basically. And now Rodgers is out of town, and we don't know who their quarterback will be. Excuse me. And so there's new life, I think, with Breece Hall. He may not be with the Jets at all going into 2026. Who knows? He could get somewhere like Saquon did and get somewhere that can actually use him right, or get him more fantasy points. Bottom line, that's all we really care about. The 102, if you're grabbing a running back there in, I don't know, Hampton or Caleb Johnson or Travion Henderson or whatever, you don't know what's going to happen with that running back. They could just turn into Breece Hall, basically, and then you're getting a free 203 on top of it. And I like the 203 in this draft. So
I do too.
I like that side of it, that one. It's a very even trade, I think.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this one. I love this trade. This is one that actually makes me think. It's that close, just in visual, right? Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. Okay, so you're like 4 and 5 quarterbacks. Okay, in fantasy. If you're looking at Dynasty, right, you got Josh Allen still going to be 1. Then you got Jaden Daniels and Lamar who battle for 2 and 3, and then you got Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow at 4 and 5. So those are right next to each other. And then you got that 102, like you mentioned, that for Breece Hall and the 203. Breece Hall ain't a dead asset.
No,
he's not
by any stretch.
Hope God he's not in a Jets uniform next year. I hope he goes somewhere else, right? I got tons of equity in Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. Tons. Why did they draft 2 really good running backs last year? Why?
Yeah.
Because Breece Hall does have some injury concerns, but god dang, when he's on the field, he's electric. I could see them dealing Breece Hall to get out of some cap issues and open up some more capital for themselves. Could totally see that happening. Wherever Breece goes, he's going to be productive. So
yeah.
Breece Hall and the 203. The 203 could land you a top-tier tight end. It could land you a top quarterback out of this class. Out of this class is how I'm going to put it, right?
Yeah.
You could get Jackson Dart at the 203, who could be given an opportunity to start in the NFL next year, right?
Absolutely.
You land Colston Loveland, who, if he lands in the right situation, could be a producing tight end. You could land Scatterboo. You could land Scatterboo, a running back who I think is going to hit next year. So there's a ton that can come from that 203. And you're getting Breece Hall and Jalen Hurts. I think this is probably the most level trade we've talked about for the 102.
Yeah.
This is a great deal. This is a great deal for both teams. I don't care what their roster makeup is. This is a win for both.
I agree with that on that one. Yes. And so we got into the 102 there, a good discussion on what you can and cannot do or should not do with the 102. We also discussed some of the middling quarterback range there and what you should and shouldn't do with that. It all came down to really just an opinion on Dak Prescott. And so you're on one side of the fence or the other there with Dak. I can see both sides. Obviously, Dak's been up and down. So you can get the good Dak next year, but maybe not. I guess I just see with Dak that I know that they're getting a new head coach, but it's still going to be the same system. And that system is one that likes to throw. Right. So I see the numbers there. But again, Bryce Young is one of those quarterbacks who's in the middle of that middle tier of quarterbacks and could go either way. I just don't see the upside of like a top 5 or 6 season ever from Bryce where Dak could get to that. I don't think he will necessarily, but it's still possible because when he throws a lot, he can put up big numbers.
That's where we will agree to disagree.
Absolutely. And I
understand that you got some leftover, let's just say sensitive nerves from Dave Canales going to Carolina.
No, that's not at all what it is. It's more on Dak and the fact that I've won a few leagues with Dak Prescott blowing up in the playoffs. That's where
we can argue this one. But Bryce Young, in my opinion, from today till end of career, Bryce Young's arc is far surpassing a Dak Prescott arc. Far surpassing. Let's not even factor in the time and the age aspect of this. Let's just factor in the skill and production. Look at Bryce post Andy Dalton starting, right? When Bryce took the job back, look at what Bryce did. And let's take a look at Dak in his last season over the second half. Who would you rather have? I think the argument is clear. I think it is not even a thought. I would take Bryce Young over Dak Prescott all day. Unless Dak signs with like the Giants and he's got Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy, and then they turn their top pick into another stud fantasy producer, whether it's receiver or tight end. Don't care. Doesn't matter. At that point, then I would consider Dak something, right? But Dak going back to Dallas with CeeDee Lamb and Flournoy and Tolbert and whatever running backs they have, unless they draft Genty. If they draft Genty, it's his show. It's his show. It's going to be Genty and a lot of play action in Dallas if that's the way they go. I just don't like Dak over Bryce moving forward. I can create doomsday scenario for Dak and nothing but rainbows and sunshine for Bryce all day long. But ultimately, I just kind of look at situation, age, all that kind of stuff, everything we can touch that's tangible. And I love Bryce more than I do Dak. And that's ultimately, I guess that's what fantasy is going to come down to in some extent. You can look at the numbers and the analytics all you want, but ultimately, when it comes to making a pick or somebody that you have to take and put on your roster, you're going to take the guy that you're most comfortable with all that in mind. So whose opinion do
absolutely
you
and so yeah, for those of you out there in a league with Matt, go hit him up with if you've got Bryce Young. Time to go hit him up. There you go.
Yeah, you
all
go.
Right.
Okay, let's talk some Bryce Young. I'm not going to overpay. I'm still paying market for him.
Yes. Of course, Matt. I know you are. All right. So I want to thank you for joining us today in our discussion, and be sure to check out our Patreon. You can see my rookie rankings there, see who would go at the 102 in my mind right now, as well as the rest of the first round. And be sure to join us with our next episode, which will be a mock draft that Matt and I will be going through based on the 5 GOATs 3-round NFL mock. So at least we have some context and landing spots for you and in our making of our selections. But yeah, check out the Patreon. If you got any personal questions on team specific, or you want a roster review, hit me up on buymeacoffee.com. We'll be happy to go over your roster right now and see which direction you might want to go, so you're not making trades where one trade makes sense and then the other one goes a different direction. All right. Thank you for joining us today. Make sure to remember that you should never stop working.